Hey guys, what's up? So I'm going to show you guys now how to pull a tax delinquency list step by step with the filters on that I use, and you can use them based on your market or what you're hoping to accomplish. So first I'll start off with Houston just because that's one of my popular markets. Select off market. Remember, we always want to pull off market leads. After we select that, let it populate the list over here. Then we'll go to filters and we're going to do tax delinquent. So we'll scroll down, click that tax delinquency. That's one of the first filters we put on there, but we're going to keep trying to lower that number down. So after we do tax delinquency, we're going to go to residential. It's a little bit of a delay here. So we'll do residential. Now when we do residential, you could do different ones, but again, I like doing single family homes. That's what's popular in our community. In our market, as well as you could do condos and townhouses, but I'm just do single family for purposes of this video. That drops it down even lower. You could do multifamily. Sometimes this is pretty big when your list is giant. You go through all the way once with different filters that you want. Then you can also go back up and change things. Like a lot of times when my list is pretty huge after I filter it, sometimes I will put specifics like 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, just because that's what a lot of investors like, because there's a big buying pool for those types of properties. For people with growing families, they always like at least 3 beds, 2 baths. Year build isn't a big thing. The other thing we'll do, remember, we always want to make sure it's off market. We also want to make sure, so owner occupied doesn't matter. Not for tax delinquent. They could be living in there and behind on taxes. They could be vacant and behind on taxes. We just want to make sure it's a tax delinquent property. Now this will help out a lot. Years of ownership, just because the longer they own the property, that's more that the delinquent taxes can pile up. So let's play with that one. And you don't have to. Remember, you want a nice size list. You don't want your list too minuscule until you already have tons of leads. So let's go 10 years of ownership. That way we know some back taxes did pile up. Now this number is going to drop. See, it dropped to 31,000. And remember, we're always going to do individual. Individual, just because a lot of times corporate people are like LLCs that properties are under. They're going to be your competition and things like that. And corporate owners are a lot more savvy, and they have tons of resources to milk as much profit out of a property that they may have. Absentee owner location, we don't have to worry about that. Liens, tax delinquent year. You could pick this as long as you know your market. Tax delinquent year just means when's the last time they were delinquent on taxes. You could pick up until the last year for a different range. So it's always good to play with that as well, but I'm not going to mess with it. Value and equity. So equity is always good. You always want to make sure the owner has some equity in the property. So I like to do 50% at least. So that drops it down more. Estimated value. So for Houston market, we know that the average home sale goes for about $300,000. So we could do a max at $300,000 because we don't want anything too expensive, but you can always do it based on your market as well. So that drops it to $17,000. Let me see, what else would I play with? Ownership type. Where's that at? Okay, that's pretty much it. So see how the list is pretty large still, 17,000. So I'm going to go back here and do 3 bed, 2 bath so I can get a smaller list. 3 bed, 2 bath. Where's that at? 3 bed. So I'll do 3 bed, 2 bath, and that number should drop a lot more as well. So 10,000. Residential, tax delinquent, residential, single family, 3 bed, 2 bath. See, there are other ones we could put on here to make it pretty lower, but 10,000 is a pretty good number. But let's see, what else can we add on to get this pretty lower? Owner occupied. Now, this comes good if you want to do a stack list. We could do vacant and tax delinquent together. So if we put vacant, yes, so we know it's vacant and it's tax delinquent. That's a plus. See how it drops down to 100, but we want to do more than 100 leads. So this would be a pretty solid list, but again, it depends on your market, and this is how you will pull tax delinquent leads. So this is a pretty nice size market. The more filters you put on, the lower you can get your list on. Just depending on how many leads you have available in PropStream and how many you can still pull. But this is a pretty solid list for you guys. So I'm going to show this, and you take it from here, insert these filters, play with other filters. But that's how I would do it, to pull a nice, reasonable size list from the start.